Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Radio, and it's important that we talk about a very serious issue. We had bad lending practices that led to the mortgage meltdown, but now we've got the challenge of deplorable customer service coming out of the meltdown. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Academy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can improve if the market goes down. Purchase transactions with our market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees and refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from your mortgage lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert for nearly 3 decades, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or at strongcreditrewards.com.
Nelson.
Good gravy.
A radio host.
Found myself 2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier.
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which 2 ends come together.
More informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome to Clear Channel's KTLK AM 1150. You're back with Nelson Radio, and we have a special show today. We're broadcasting remote once again, and out at Marco Rufo's newest homes that he's bringing to market in the Pacific Palisades. We're at 15201 Bestor Boulevard, and the Bestor Collection, as I'm calling it.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Marco?
Absolutely. These homes are prime real estate in Pacific Palisades, especially in the village.
In village properties, there isn't obviously a lot of subdivision construction where you're getting multiple homes brought to market.
They're very close to each other, but I have to tell you, this area is the most desired area in all of Pacific Palisades due to that fact, that they're close to the village and that they're close. It's a community. It's that the families are very close to each other.
And we're going to explore that in a little bit more detail as we go through today's show. Last week, we looked at risk versus reward. We had a huge groundswell of activity and response, people asking the question, how much risk should I take? What's too much risk? What's not enough reward for the risk that I'm taking? So we're going to explore that again today as we go through today's show. Street Noise, we're going to look at landmark homes, and this is really going to set off a series of landmark homes across the Southland that we're going to showcase. The Bestor homes, 5 brand new homes that are being brought to market.
You know, it's been a long time since we've had this many homes, brand new, coming on in Pacific Palisades, which is a landmark, yes, absolutely.
And so with that, we have the CEO and the founder of Lantana Development Company, John Dujinski, and he's the builder of these properties. We're going to go through his development background, get a peek behind the curtain on what he's done in his career and certainly bringing these homes to market, some of the storytelling along the way.
And I got to tell you, Robert, he's done some amazing projects in his past. And this is the cherry on top right now, you know.
In one of Pacific Palisades' own, Clark Remington, architect of the Bestor lots, and very, very active in the Pacific Palisades over the past 20 years. I think he's designed maybe 60 or so homes in Pacific Palisades.
His name has been on probably 60-plus homes in Pacific Palisades, and they are some of the most respected, quality homes in Pacific Palisades. Yeah, so he's great to have on.
And what I want to find out more, there's the architectural design and bringing a right design to the property, but also the infrastructure of what goes into it, all the media design, all of the infrastructure to bring what I used to call smart houses. I think there's a different name for them now, but
You know, Robert, today, in today's world, the smart home, meaning in technology, AV, audiovisual, is the most important thing in homes. I mean, most clientele that buy homes at this level, they want smart homes. Not only do they want smart homes, they want it installed. They want all the media. They want everything wireless. They want it from their phone.
and we'll hear this
and
directly.
we have that here.
And we'll hear this direct. What they want is for those designs to work. Who would have thunk, right? They actually want the media to work. Here, whether it's a $100,000 home or a $10 million home, most homes still have the time flashing on the DVD that hasn't been set. So everything works coming together. And so we're going to visit with him. And then also in Coach's Corner, great storyline. Will Schmidt on Saturday is launching a 320-mile trek, open ocean paddleboard.
Wow.
And he's doing this to bring attention to the post-traumatic stress disorder of the Wounded Warrior Organization, our military returning to the U.S. and assimilating back into life. And it's not just, hey, I'm home, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to plug in. I'm going
to help you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to listen to your stories. I get it.
And
That's
so
fantastic.
he's going to launch from Santa Barbara, 320 miles on a paddleboard, touching all 8 of the Channel Islands, landing back on Dana Point.
Wow.
5 to 8 days later, depending upon currents and winds and whatnot, but an extraordinary effort. So we're going to take a look at that. And, of course, we're going to look at Stump the Experts and our alliance with Treasures of Africa down in Moshi, Tanzania.
Fantastic.
So it's going to be a great show. As we open up Street Noise, I want to share with you, you can contact us at any time for information. And we do want you to call. We have a very key e-guide here that's we announced it last week. It's the 8 buyer mistakes that we see commonly made out there in the marketplace and how to avoid them. Then we'll have that e-guide available. Let's jump into Street Noise. This segment is brought to you by OC Wills and Trust. You can contact us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or you can click through at nelsonradio.com. You'll find that e-guide, 8 buyer mistakes. And so let me jump into Street Noise and a couple of great headlines that I saw this week. One, and appropriate for our Bestor homes here, is the increase in construction financing and construction activity. It seems like as I walk around a lot of the luxury communities, sticks are going up in the air. People are remodeling. Do you find it here in Pacific Palisades?
Absolutely, Nelson. In Pacific Palisades, in the last 1 year, the new construction has gone up 30%.
30%.
Which is astronomical over the past 5 years. It is such a unique area. I mean, we're not talking $1 million homes. We're talking $2-3 million homes up. That's what the new construction is selling for. So in Pacific Palisades, that's a very high ticket number. 30% is a very high number, and it's fantastic.
What's the temperature, if I could ask it this way, of the homeowners in Pacific Palisades? Are they pro-development? Do they want new construction? Or is it like many of the coastal communities where they're saying, hey, not in my backyard?
You know what? It depends on the area. However, specifically speaking about this particular area of the 5 new developments that Lantana did, they were not so happy about 5 homes going up. However, when they saw how cooperative the developer was with the community, with the neighbors, and how he was so gracious in exercising any demand that they had of concern, they were okay.
They address those concerns.
Absolutely.
I want to hear more about that as we bring Lantana and really get that peek behind the curtain on why these homes, why this area, and the fact that they're beautiful homes. And they seem appropriate for the community. As I drove through the community earlier today, so many homes you come in and you see a 10,000 square foot home surrounded by 2,500 foot cottages, and you go, what's that?
Robert, what you have to understand is that the architect on this, Clark Remington, he has built many, many homes in the area. He would never design a home in this development that didn't fit in the area where people wouldn't be pleasing to the eyes. So,
good. Well, it's going to be an exciting show. Want to encourage you to tap into the resource we're making available, the e-guide on our website at nelsonradio.com, the 8 buyer mistakes that you can avoid if just you plan and are practiced and are ready to go into this marketplace. This segment brought to you by OC Wills and Trust. You're listening to Nelson Radio. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with John Dujinsky from Lantana Development. Stay with us.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured. The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 023501.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio, heard right here on KTLK AM 1150. We're broadcasting remote, and we're out at the Pacific Palisades project brought to you by Lantana Development. John Dujinsky is the CEO and founder of the development company and has carved out 5 beautiful homes that are now just being introduced to the marketplace. We're at one of those that's the first to be released. You have to see this property. It's a fantastic home right at 15201 Bestor Boulevard in Pacific Palisades. Marco, they call this the Alphabet Streets?
They do. They call it the Alphabet Streets because the streets above Bestor Boulevard, they go in alphabetical order. And that is the reason why they call it the Alphabet Streets. And this particular property is on Bestor. The Bestor is the upper Alphabet Streets and is the prime area of the Alphabets, which is fantastic. And this one being at 15201 Bestor.com.
John, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Nelson. I'm happy to be here.
So tell me, I want to get a peek behind the curtain of going back. You saw this property or this land, this parcel become available. What was here before?
There was a church here. It was a Christian Science church, and I saw the property. It consisted of 2 parcels. One was about 7,300 square feet in size, and the one next to it was about 30,000 square feet in size, and the church and the school stretched over both parcels. I reckoned I could subdivide the big parcel into 4 other parcels about 7,300 square feet in size. So I did that, and now we have 5 parcels with 5 houses.
In 7,300 square feet in Pacific Palisades, I mean, that's a nice sized lot, right?
In the Alphabet Streets and in Pacific Palisades, it's actually a very gracious lot, where John had the foresight in saying, look, I'm going to buy this big parcel, and I'm going to subdivide it. Where a lot of other people, they looked at this parcel and they said, I'm going to purchase this property at this number and not subdivide it and maybe build one home.
A visionary.
Massive vision.
So let me ask you, John, when you saw this parcel, you have the same battle. I know that in your development career, which stretches across a vast number of years, you have a longtime veteran to the industry. You have resistance that can come from the community. And what Marco shared with me before you got into the subdivision here and going through the subdivision process, that you invited the community to participate.
I did. I talked to the neighbors. I talked to the community associations. I met with them. There was an option here to turn this into a school, and nobody liked that option. And everybody I talked to was more than happy to have homes built here as opposed to a school. And the neighbors were all cooperative. I didn't have any negatives, and so it went very smoothly. And we were very lucky that we had sellers who were very smart and very willing to work with the developer to give him a little time to make sure that he wouldn't get a lot of resistance on the subdivision.
You know, the great thing, Nelson, what they did here was that they allowed John to do his due diligence for some period of time. And they allowed him to explore every aspect of what he could do with the property. And what he did was he invested in trying to explore what the community thought should be here.
Right.
No one really thought that a school being here was a great idea, if it was or if it was not. So they adopted the idea that he was going to subdivide this property,
right,
and that he was going to build these beautiful homes.
When did you first look at the property?
I first looked at it in 2010, and I finally purchased it in February of 2011. And it took about a year to complete the subdivision and begin the construction.
I got to take my hat off to him regarding the subdivision, because having a property of this scale, having a parcel, one parcel of this scale, and then being able to subdivide it into 5 parcels is an extremely difficult process. And he was able to complete that process.
Well, and there's some of the insight of John Dujinski, the CEO of Lantana Development, and you're listening to Nelson Radio. You can contact us direct. Find out more about these properties by contacting us at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or click through at nelsonradio.com. I'm also with my co-host Marco Rufo from Pacific Palisades, and one of the founts of real estate knowledge right here in the Palisades area.
Thank you, Nelson.
The founts. So when you saw this property, I've got to ask a question, because we've been talking about risk versus reward and where it's appropriate to take risk and appropriate rewards, but you're right on the heels of the Great Recession, right on the heels of the mortgage meltdown. When you start looking at this property, it's before real estate had gone through this most recent surge. Was it a nervy decision? Were you concerned that maybe it was premature to bring more property to market?
It was somewhat of a nervy decision, but I felt that the tide was about ready to turn. I hadn't been able to get a real estate loan between 2008 and 2012.
They didn't exist, yeah.
They didn't exist.
They did not, yeah.
But in 2012, I got 2 pretty substantial real estate loans to build properties with 2 different lenders. One was U.S. Bank, one was California Bank and Trust. And I was very lucky to know that I had a good team. I had Clark Remington to design the houses.
Right.
I had Ron Stevenson to build them. I had Pam Stevenson to do the interior decorations.
Nice.
I had Amy Miller to stage them. I had California Bank and Trust to finance them.
Right.
And finally, I had Marco Rufo, whom I know can sell them for good prices. So I was lucky, and because I had a good team, I had a lot of confidence.
You know, take me out of the equation, Marco Rufo out of the equation, okay? He had the foresight to purchase those homes at that particular moment in history. And that particular moment in history was very volatile.
Well, it was
riddled
with uncertainty. Sure.
We did not know where the community or the market was going. And he had the foresight to say, you know what, I'm going to put my foot forward. I'm going to take it down. And his first initial reaction might have been these particular homes that he had built in this particular area might have been at a different number completely. But could he reach that number with this performer? might be a whole different story. And then the market surged from after that, and it went all in his favor, and deservingly so, because you know what? He was the pioneer that was willing to put his foot forward and do that.
So with his first home at 15201 Bestor Boulevard, it's a Cape Cod style. I want to hear from the builder, the vision, what you thought, and now that you see the finished product.
It's even better than I envisioned. Clark Remington and Ron Stevenson and I sat down, and we together designed the houses. We had many, many meetings, and the final product in each of these 5 houses turned out to me to be even better than I could have envisioned with Clark's great designs.
With Clark Remington, in our next segment, we're going to bring him on and understand a little bit more about that vision that he had, the design qualities, some of the appointments that he selected, and how that all came together with bringing these properties to the market.
Absolutely, Nelson, and I wanted to echo some comments when he was saying that, and I will save my comments to one Clark sitting in front of us.
Perfect.
And I can make those comments.
It's great to see these homes come to market. I've walked through the property, and it does have a lot of intrigue, a lot of design elements. I can tell you in my career, which stretches across 3 decades, John, I've seen a lot of homes and a lot of custom homes and a lot of, who would have thunk? What were they thinking when they designed this property? And as I went from room to room and I saw transition and I saw how the design flow from one room to the next.
This particular home that's built right here, right now, 15201 Bestor Boulevard, you have to understand it's for a family. And you have to have practicalities in the build.
And
these geniuses did that.
And we're going to explore that as we bring the architect back onto the program. Stay with us. We're exploring the 5 new homes in Pacific Palisades on Bestor Boulevard. The first at 15201 Bestor Boulevard, brought to you by John Dujinski, the CEO of Lantana Development Company. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's Office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive saving saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio, heard on KTLK AM 1150. We're at the Bestor lots, 5 new homes in Pacific Palisades, brought to you by John Dujinski and Lantana Development. Beautiful homes, very large lots for Pacific Palisades. And John was nice enough to stay with us from our last segment. And we've also brought on Clark Remington, the architect of the Bestor lots. Clark, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I want our listeners to understand that these properties, you want to get out and see them, but we'll be able to click through on our website to your site, view the properties, see what the appointments that have been put together.
You know, the genius of this developer hiring Clark Remington for the design of the property is Clark Remington has his name on many properties in the Palisades, over 50, 60 homes. He's designed so many homes and built his own. And his name is synonymous with this particular style home. And people love his particular style home. So let's get him on.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued, and this is the launch of looking at some of the landmark properties that are here in Southern California, from new design like these properties just now being completed and brought to market, and some of the signature markets, or signature homes.
Signature homes, yeah.
Give us a little bit of an insight, why you designed them the way you did, some of the challenges that you had with these particular lots.
Well, when John first contacted me to design this project, he came to me and wanted a project that was going to be successful, of course, and the Palisades is a beach community and it's a family-oriented community, and so the homes that you have to design for this area have to be family-oriented homes and with the back east Nantucket type Cape Cod style in mind.
And I got to tell you, Nelson, Clark has the eye on that specific design more than anybody else. I mean, he really does. His homes, we put in our write-up, Clark Remington's design, because people in this community, they know and they understand his design for these type of neighborhoods. And he's absolutely right. I mean, he took this lot, being the one lot, and said to his client, John, that I can divide it into 5, and I can do this, and this, which was genius.
And with that, in Pacific Palisades, maybe this is a naive question, I don't know, but do you have to deal with the Coastal Commission, or is that not one of the challenge milestones?
In certain areas you do. In this particular site, it was not subject to the Coastal Commission.
And about the village, you have a style that you want to bring that's consistent with the community. The Cape Cod style, it blends right into the theme of Pacific Palisades and a coastal community.
Oh yes, quite a bit.
So with the design then, tell me why you chose some of the appointments that you selected.
Well, in these particular site, with it being above the street level, about 9 feet like it is,
right?
Really the only way to bring a garage in would be from the street level, which lends itself to the 3-story design and the full basement, which is very popular in the Palisades right now because you can only get so much square footage on these lots with the new mansionization laws in Los Angeles. And so the only way to get a bigger house is to go down with a basement.
So let me add to that, Nelson. In Pacific Palisades, specific to the lot size that you have, you can only build certain size homes. However, as soon as you go below ground, you can build a bigger home, assuming that particular area below ground is habitable. This particular area below this ground is completely 100% habitable. So we're able to use that square footage in the sale of a property. In this particular location, it is habitable. And he's right. Because of the elevation that we have on this particular lot, he needed to have 3 stories to make it make sense with the backyard.
In the property, little over 6,000 square feet, a large home. and a basement. I don't hear a lot of basement discussion in terms of Southern California. Where I grew up in Washington, in the Seattle area, everybody had basements. That was just part of the natural construction. You don't hear about many properties having that additional square footage to work with.
Yeah, they started being popular. Actually, I did one of the first basements in Palisades about 12 or 13 years ago. And ever since then, they've gotten more and more popular just because the land value is so expensive. And when people are purchasing a property for that much money, they want to be able to build a big home. And the only way they can get a bigger home is to go down.
Let me extrapolate on that a little bit, Nelson. In Pacific Palisades, because of the lot sizes, you're restricted to certain areas that you can build those homes. So the only way to circumvent that is to either go down. So a lot of people that are actually purchasing these homes are from out of the area, many of them being from the East Coast.
Uh-huh.
So when they see, oh, wow, it's got a full basement, they love it. They love it.
In a finished basement.
And a finished basement, because a lot of homes back east, the basements are not finished.
No,
they're
it becomes the mud room.
Not just the mud room, it's the area where everything goes, all the storage, it's junk. So,
You're listening to Marco Rufo from Pacific Palisades, Prudential California Realty, soon to be Berkshire Hathaway, I think in another week or so. John Dujinski, the CEO and founder of Lantana Development, and Clark Remington, the architect of the property, and bringing the design that fits into the community so well. And
absolutely, better than anybody else.
I want to ask the question, do you have a favorite room, a particular appointment? As you walk through this property, you go, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted.
Actually, I love the kitchen in this particular home here. It's probably my favorite kitchen of all the 5, but they all have their different amenities that I like, but I won't mention which ones.
No, you can't. Now, all 5 properties, are they all 3-story and have this basement?
Yes, they're all very similar in floor plan. They're similar, but we wanted to give each house its own characteristic, and so 3 of the houses have wine cellars, 2 of the houses have rooftop decks, 1 of the houses have an elevator in it. So we tried to do something for each individual buyer to attract a buyer for each particular home.
And actually 2 have pools, right?
Correct, yeah. That was kind of the last minute add-on.
Well, and John's looking at me. You have the wine cellar, you have the rooftop. Where's the big game room, John?
We wish we had that, but we don't. A lot of California are not hunters. But one of the requirements that I asked Clark to try to conform to was to make the houses substantially different so that people don't feel as if they're in some kind of a tract development. So if you go and walk through one house and walk through the next one, you'll notice significant enough changes in the floor plans and the amenities and the materials that are used that you'll know you're in a different house.
John Dujinski, Lantana Development, Clark Remington, beautiful job down on the design. I'm with Marco Rufos from Pacific Palisades. We're going to be right back. We're going to look at the interior design of the property and go through what I call a smart house. It now has new vernacular, a new language.
I have to tell you, today the key is the smart home, the key word, so we will bring that person up.
Stay with us. You're listening to Nelson Radio. You can see these homes right at nelsonradio.com, or for more information, give us a call direct. We have our e-guide available, 8 buyer mistakes to avoid, directly at 888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778, or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
Academy Mortgage Corporation is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations. NMLS number 331060. Corporate license number 4170013. Offer extended. Offer not accepted. Extended. Not accepted. Are you in the market for a new home but concerned that by the time you actually find your dream home, higher mortgage interest rates will have you priced out of the market? Academy Mortgage has the answer. With Academy Mortgage's exclusive lock and shop rate guarantee, you can freeze today's low interest rates while you shop for your new home, all with the peace of mind that your guaranteed rate is waiting for you at the finish line. Today's rate, protected and waiting for you to purchase your perfect dream home. Call or click to reach Academy Mortgage today. 888-888-2136 and lock in your rate. 888-888-2136. Squash fear from perhaps the most important decision, your home. 888-888-2136 or click on strongcreditrewards.com.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Welcome back. You're listening to Nelson Radio, heard on KTLK AM 1150, and we're broadcasting from Marco Rufo's project out here in Pacific Palisades, another landmark event with the properties that he's bringing to market. This segment brought to you by Insurance Incorporated, dropping premiums by up to 40%. This next segment in Coach's Corner is going to be fabulous and a real interesting spin on risk versus reward. You can contact us direct by calling 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or click through at nelsonradio.com. And I'm excited to welcome onto our program Will Schmidt. And Will Schmidt is about to embark on an adventure that is, in my eyes, death-defying and certainly challenging the extremes of physical endurance. Will, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
I saw your venture that's launching today, and you have, pushing off from Oxnard, paddleboarding, stand-up paddleboarding, all the Channel Islands, a 320-mile venture that you hope to execute in as little as 5 days and maybe longer, depending upon conditions. But give our listeners a little bit a peek behind the curtain of what you're doing on this particular paddleboard trip.
Okay, so in April, I decided I wanted to explore open ocean stand-up paddling, more of an endurance style. I paddled from Catalina Island to Dana Point Harbor, roughly 45 miles for the Wounded Warrior Project.
Right.
I decided to take it a step further, but knowing me, I take it right off the map. So my plan is to do a first-of-its-kind paddle, start from Oxnard, California, the mainland, touch every single Channel Island, all 8 of them, and end up back in Dana Point Harbor. So no one on a stand-up paddleboard has ever done a trip like this and done it solo, in fact. So it's really just, we're exploring this for the first time, and I'm really, really excited.
You know, we've been talking about risk versus reward. You have some inherent risks when you venture 320 miles across the ocean.
Most definitely.
Why are you taking these risks?
You know, I paddle because of depression and anxiety. I have a history of depression that almost killed me a few years ago. And I also have a history in the United States Marine Corps, and I figured it would be great to put those two together and try to raise awareness for military members who suffer from anxiety and depression, and also, even worse, post-traumatic stress. So I feel like I've cheated death once before. I've found my way back, and so now pushing the limits, see what I can do, and make this a life worth living. You're
listening to Will Schmidt right here on Nelson Radio in Coach's Corner. We're talking about risk versus reward as he's about to launch his 320-mile trek, stand-up paddleboarding, touching all 8 Channel Islands, 320 miles. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And we're going to track his progress through our website, nelsonradio.com, and be able to click through to his website, areyouinspiredyet.com, and ask you to sponsor and jump in on his battle against depression. Will, let me ask you, post-traumatic stress disorder, it's something that lurks in the shadows. It doesn't have any apparent signs physically, but every one of our warriors coming home has varying degrees from the tragedies, the trauma, the atrocities that they've seen. what is driving that? I mean, how do they assimilate back into normal society when they're coming from those kinds of environments?
It's very difficult to assimilate from any kind of combat situation. And the big thing is your perspective on everything changes. You deal with sounds, sights, all these different things, and you react in a different way. Come back to reality, and a car door shutting could really bring these things out.
The funds that you're raising, are they going directly to the Wounded Warrior Program?
Directly to the Wounded Warrior Project, exactly.
And as you assess risk, you have obviously prevailing winds that could enhance how difficult this is. You have, I'm assuming, freighter traffic.
Exactly.
What do you do with that? You have a support boat that will be in the water in the general vicinity, but are they running, to protect you, or how does it happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a freighter, even if they see us, 10 miles to even slow down. So we've mapped out the shipping lanes very carefully, and we just have to be really aware. There's going to be someone on watch if someone's resting at all times, watching me if I'm paddling during the day or at night, and we've covered every single base we could possibly imagine.
Do you intend on paddling during the nighttime?
Of course, yeah.
And so with that, I mean, I'm thinking if I'm out there, I want to be in the daylight so I can see all of the various influences or things that I need to be aware of or stay out of the way of. Why would you go into venturing at night?
You know, night conditions can a lot of times be a little easier than the day. When it cools off, the winds can get a little easier, as well as you don't have to deal with the heat during the day. So a lot of different factors at night. Of course, we have to play it by ear. Once we get out there, you just don't know what time, what's going to happen. So if it's 1 a.m. and it looks like we have a clear crossing time, we have to jump on it.
You jump on it. Biggest challenge, what do you anticipate?
Biggest challenge is simply nutrition. It's going to be very difficult to keep my body in an anabolic state throughout this entire trip. The big thing is you don't get proper nutrition, you start to cramp up, your body, worst case scenario, goes catabolic, and you start to actually digest your own muscle tissue as if you were stranded with no food. So I'm estimating that I'm going to be burning 500 to 700 calories an hour for, if I keep my pace up at 5 miles an hour, up to 60 or more hours.
This 16-mile venture that starts the campaign versus the longest leg, 79 miles, from which island to which island?
From San Miguel to San Nicolas Island.
What presents the bigger challenge, the 79 or the 16?
The 16 to start off, just because of those prevailing winds.
In terms of where you find your inspiration, obviously being an individual that deals with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and recognizing you're doing this for Wounded Warriors, where do you draw your inspiration from?
I draw my inspiration from a lot of my friends who have dealt with this and overcome it. I draw it from my experience with my depression and my anxiety that I made a purpose to overcome.
Describe the last leg coming into Dana Point.
You know, and that's the fun part, is because I've done that leg before, and I will actually be the first stand-up paddler to paddle that route twice. The first time, it's about a 40-mile distance. Last time I did 45 miles is simply because I followed the swell and the current a little bit, and we had fun out there.
Right.
Also had a GPS that broke down, but we won't talk about that. However, just coming in, and that last leg is a pure downwind, meaning wind straight to my back.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even need a boat on that one. I just follow that swell, and it takes me right into the mouth of Dana Point Harbor.
You have a welcoming crew that'll be waiting for you?
I certainly hope so. So I have some friends that'll be there with their kids, and the newspaper would like to have a photographer there. So, once we get to Catalina, we're going to take a little rest, and we'll be able to email and text and everybody and let them know approximately within a 2-3 hour time frame when I'll be showing up.
At the finish line, with a welcoming crew, now you're going to have to time that with whether this becomes a 5-day venture or 7-8-day venture. But with coming in, do you at that point you're not maintaining your physical stance? I imagine that you're just now pointing towards the finish line. You're that horse running to the barn.
Exactly.
Adrenaline drives it.
Exactly, most definitely. I mean, that last mile, in fact, and I remember this from the Catalina trip in April. The last mile, when I was all just shredded and done for and beat up, was my fastest of the entire trip.
You could smell the barn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to be excited. This venture kicking off September 13th, touching all 8 Channel Islands, stand-up paddleboard for 320 miles. Could be a 5-day venture, could be longer. We want to wish you the best of luck. We appreciate what you're doing in terms of balancing risk versus reward and drawing attention to the post-traumatic stress disorder for wounded warriors, something that is a very, very impactful effort, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much.
You're listening to Will Schmidt right here on Nelson Radio and Coach's Corner. This segment brought to you by Insurance Inc. Find out more about Will's adventure. We'll be giving updates as he advances across this 320 miles. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or click through at nelsonradio.com as he goes from island to island. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by Academy Mortgage.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated. 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation with you. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Being drunk wasn't even a consideration. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red, the arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce you to Orange County's office of Michael L. Feld. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction, the record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Feld direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-278-5559. That's 949-278-5559 for the law office of Michael L. Feld. 949-278-5559, or you can text the letters OCDUI to 313131.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. This segment brought to you by OC Wills and Trust.
Welcome back. I'm with Marco Rufo from Berkshire Hathaway back in Pacific Palisades. We're broadcasting remote from the Palisades, and we're at this beautiful custom home, one of 5 that's now just being brought to market on the Bestor streets. 15201 Bestor. You can find that also at 15201bestor.com or go to nelsonradio.com. And then also you can contact us direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We've looked at the neighborhood and what led to the development. We've looked at the design of the property, Marco, and we're now going to change gears here and go into the home automation. And what I used to call the smart home. It's no longer that.
Well, no, it still is the smart home, but it's become the normality. And not only has it become the normality, you actually have to, when you're selling a home in this caliber, you have to have it installed, and you have to be able to show those features.
Let me introduce them. Nick Verns of Vantage Controls and Scott Ahrens, the owner of AB Audio and Video, the designers of how this home works efficiently. And what I got to ask you, and we talked about this before we got on air, and that's so many people want all of these features and then get into the home, and guess what? They don't know how to work it.
Absolutely. One of the key features here is that these homes encompass so many subsystems, from security to cameras, HVAC, and it's really aggregating all that and putting it in one space where you can control everything. And that's where the complications lie. You take we can equate it to an iPhone. I have a number of apps, and how do I work them? How do I get them all to talk together? And that's really what Vantage does. It takes all those subsystems, puts them under one umbrella, and gives you the ability to control that property.
Let me add to that, Nelson. I got to tell you, Nick said is that these particular systems, yeah, you think that they're so complicated, but in actuality they're not, because what Nick does and his company does, Advantage does, is they automate it and they make it very simple where you can press one button and your whole house turns off, or your whole house turns on, or your stereo turns on or turns off. And I mean, it depends on what the clientele wants, but you need that particular system in a smart home to make it work. And they're fantastic with that.
Scott, let me ask you, with the design, obviously we had Clark on and talking about the structural design and how it had to integrate into the community. Now you're delivered a 6,000 plus square foot home that all has to come together from the technical side. Big challenge?
This is something we do every day on all new construction, pretty much. We try to manage the wiring of the house first to allow the customer or the potential homeowner to do whatever they want to do in the future. So we create a path to not obsolete themselves when they move into the house. So that as new technologies emerge, we have the wiring in place in order to make that happen.
Not only do they create the technology for the home, not only do they wire the home throughout, they give you a diagram of exactly what your home is going to be, and expect where then whatever company you hire then come in, that's an AV company, will understand it in plain English, which was very difficult for a lot of companies.
And complicated design, but easy execution. And as you walked me through this, Nick, looking at what is the control panel and the architecture that it took, you've been planning this for 3 years, bringing this kind of technology to market.
Yeah, Vantage really looked at it, and I guess you could boil it down to, Scott is more or less a suit maker. And we all go buy a suit, and we get it tailored to perfection, right? We go in, we get it fit, we buy it. That's your home. We take all those subsystems that you own, a tie, a shirt, and we mend them together, we fit them to you perfectly, and every day that you come home, it fits you perfect. It fits your lifestyle.
It is so simple, and that's what people are afraid of. These technologies, they're afraid of these technologies. And this particular technology in a home of this caliber must be instated, must be offered, and we have that here, and Nick is fantastic in explaining every little detail about that.
With the subsystems, most people generally think, okay, you're talking about just the entertainment systems, but give us a quick menu of what subsystems are.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, we all live in California here. Well, the majority of us live in California, and the problems are energy and energy conservation, rollbacks. Having a house start paying itself back. That's what Vantage does. We take those air conditioning, the draperies, all the things into account and write these macros that really start paying itself back. Hey, if I'm taking on heat gain, drop a shade, dim the lights, don't turn on the air. If I keep gaining heat, after an hour, then turn on the air. I start saving money at that point.
Well, and I think it's a whole hidden element of looking at today's homes where you have not only the structural design that's consistent with the community, you're taking the flow from room to room in terms of how the interior is put together. Now the home automation piece in terms of having all that functionality structured into the home design, and it comes together with entirely different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not only is that entirely different, you need all the amenities. When you're selling a home of this caliber, you need all the amenities to be in place. And this is one aspect of the amenities, which I think is one of the most important aspects of the sale of a home.
It really is the last. It's a cohesive blend of architecture, of design, and it's really the last element that creates emotion. Whether it's setting a scene of lighting, triggering some climate, or setting the right music scene, Vantage does that.
This gentleman, Nick, Vantage, programmed one button that I press, turns on the whole house, turns on the music that I want, at the level that I want, and the lighting that I want.
Room to room.
Room to room for my specific showing, which is unheard of.
Like it. Well, it's a fantastic home. We've looked at the neighborhood, the design, the new home automation. Nick Verns of Vantage Controls, Scott Ahrens, the owner of AB Audio and Video. It's a fabulous presentation and a great collaboration of bringing all of these elements into the Bestor homes. 5 beautiful homes on Bestor Boulevard in Pacific Palisades. You'll be able to click through at nelsonradio.com to get to these homes. Also, you can contact us direct
at 888-888-2136. To buy this kind of home, you need our e-guide, 8 buyer mistakes to avoid. NelsonRadio.com. We've been looking at risk versus reward. These homes coming into the market right at the time that sales are up, construction is up, there's momentum behind the housing market, and it's a great opportunity to come into the Pacific Palisades neighborhood. You can also contact Marco Rufo from Berkshire Hathaway. Before we close, I wanted to draw quick attention to our sponsor orphanage down in Moshi, Tanzania, Treasures of Africa. We have 50 children there that are being brought up and developed to be community changers. And the most recent addition to the community of Treasures of Africa, a little girl by the name of Catherine. She has been separated from her 2 sisters who are at the orphanage, but she recently was brought into the orphanage, reunited with her family, and you'll look at her picture that we'll have on NelsonRadio.com. One beautiful, beautiful little girl.
We are gifts, what we have in our lives.
Little Miss Catherine from Treasures of Africa. We've been looking at risk versus reward. A special thanks to Nelson Radio's expert contributors and as well to Marco Rufo from Berkshire Hathaway and to our producer, Adam Evans. Thanks for being with us. Next week, we're going to be presenting another fabulous edition of Nelson Radio. Check it out, NelsonRadio.com, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We look forward to being with you next week.